Hello, Star Citizens, and welcome to day 3, I believe, of IAE, where we're gonna take a look at Mirai and MISC, and we're gonna see if they got some new ships in here. And also, we're gonna see what the war bond of the day is. I'm not too hopeful on the war bonds. They haven't exactly been brain busting, so we'll see what they are. But as always, make sure if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And if you're subscribed, consider hitting that join button, because if you hit that join button, not only do you see it to support the channel even more, but you also have that 25% chance of winning our giveaway ship this year, or not this year. Well, I guess it is the end of the year, but this month, which is the Starlancer TAC. I did see that somebody asked on one of my previous videos if someone could verify the giveaways. So if you're watching this and you happen to see somebody asking to verify whether I actually give away the ships, please, if you've won a ship, please let them know whether or not I've actually given you the ship. I think there's only one person waiting on a ship, and it's the most recent winner, because I'm buying their ship on Anvil Day, which is the end of this sale. So yeah, that's the only person waiting for a ship. Everybody else should have already received what they're going to get. And another thing, you want to be subscribed before December, because what we're giving away in December is going to be awesome. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get to it. So today we got Mirai and MISC. We'll do Mirai first because we want to know if that Mirai Guardian is in here. I watched the video and it said 4.0, so I'm not too hopeful. Okay, so we don't have a war bond. We do have a Mirai complete pack though, which isn't expensive. All right, so we got the Mirai Fury. We'll just get right into the buyer's guide, you know. The Mirai Fury is an amazing snub. It's my favorite dedicated snub. However, non-dedicated snub's gonna go to a different one that we'll get to in a second. But yeah, it's basically a mini size 1 turret that's flying around, and it's really cool. It fits in almost everything that can fit a snub. It's like bare bones as far as the amount of room it takes up. It is a really amazing ship. I would own one if I didn't already have my first choice. So anybody who picks up one of these, you are not going to be disappointed. But yeah, just remember, snub ships don't have quantum drives, can't jump, so they will need to be carried in another ship. So if you don't have a ship that can carry this Starlancer TAC, then you probably shouldn't get one. Yeah, make sure you have something that can carry it, unless you're going to use it for racing. But then you shouldn't be getting this one. You should be getting this one, because this one doesn't have any weapons and it's faster. So there you have it. That's the one you get if you want to race. I haven't actually done a race with it, but I do think that it is a racer. Racing isn't really my forte. You're going to want to ask the Atmo Esports folks or other people in the comments about it. I don't know its performance on racing. All I know is that it seemed, I think from my review, it was a little bit more maneuverable, and it seemed like it was obviously faster, but I think it was also a little bit more maneuverable, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. And then you have the MX, which is a little bit more armored in the front, you can see, and it's mostly just for missiles. So my only thing is about a missile snub is you have to be able to rearm it. So if you don't have a bunch of missiles sitting in a box where you can go out, shoot the missiles off this, and then come back, then I would be really hesitating to get this. Now, that's just me, but maybe you have a different mindset about that. But I definitely would only get the MX if I had another ship that I can come back to and reload missiles onto it and send it back out. Starlancer TAC. I don't know, that keeps happening with my throat. All right, the Pulse, very cheap ship. I mean, if you got this when it came out, it was $25, I think. Very cheap. Even if you don't want one, I would get one. Well, I guess I wouldn't say get one for anybody, but it fits in almost every ship, and that is really cool. It's literally the smallest possible vehicle that they can make. I suppose without if they could have taken the gun off and it would have been a little bit smaller, but still, it fits in everything. The length isn't the problem of things that it doesn't fit in anyway. So yeah, I mean, a Mirai Pulse is I need a vehicle and I have a really tiny ship. So it's one of those, if you bought it, I completely understand. I completely understand. This one I have a few more questions on, but at the same time, if you're not really interested in shooting on a hover bike, then this might be the better version for you because it's just going to get you there faster than the other variant. So there it is. They actually had a double pack with this that they sold that was actually a really good pickup because it's, now generally I would not suggest packs, but I think it was like $2 cheaper or something like that. And if you know these are going to be LTI tokens, I still wouldn't mind because, you know, breaking up a pack of 2 isn't as big of a deal, but a packs of 3 or more is a little bit harder. So yeah, but I like the Pulse. I just think, well, with its size, I just feel like it's one of those ships that you have to just want. It's not really a ship that everybody should get unless, because me personally, I like the X1 Force because it has the shield, but the base Pulse here has a size 2 weapon. But from what my testing showed, which it might just be that the balancing was off, it seemed like the size 1 weapons were better than this size 2 weapon. So maybe that size 2 weapon isn't really worth it because it's a bespoke size 2 weapons, meaning you can't change it out. So it's really for the people who need to take a vehicle with them, but they don't have a ship that's large enough. Or if a whole bunch of people need a whole bunch of vehicles and your ship isn't big enough to fit a whole bunch of vehicles, you get a whole bunch of Pulse and then you can go forward. So I like it. It's cheap enough to where even if you spend money on it, I don't think anybody's gonna break the bank. The Razor is where things get interesting because I like all 3 Razors. Now, the Razor LX is one of the fastest and most maneuverable ships in the game, so it is going to be a great Razor. The base Razor is good. The only problem with the base Razor, in fact, it would be one of the best ships in this class. The only problem with it is that the LX is faster and that the Razor EX exists, because you shouldn't be getting this unless you specifically want that blue skin. And even then, I probably would wait and see if that skin is available in the game. But this is the one you want. This is one of my favorite ships in all of Star Citizen. Let me say that again. It is one of my favorite ships in all of Star Citizen. I am picking one up. This IAE, I am picking one up. This ship has an extremely, I mean, I'll gush over it for 20 minutes if you let me, so I won't do that. But I will say this ship has stealth, which means it's extremely difficult to detect just from having the stealth. But then look at it. It barely has any cross-section in any direction. Barely any cross-section. This thing is incredibly difficult to pick up on radar, even without stealth. So with stealth, this thing is nearly impossible to hit. Mind you, it is the size of a snub ship, which means it fits in a lot of other ships. It fits in most ships where a snub fits. And on top of that, this thing is, it's got two guns on it, and it has a jump drive, and it has a quantum drive. I mean, you're not going very far in it, but it's the best snub that exists. I mean, you have a snub that's built with built-in stealth. Snubs are already difficult to hit. This thing is extremely fast. I mean, man, they nailed it with the Razor EX. Absolutely nailed it. This is one of those ships that I gush about, and people are like, why? It's just and I'm like, you just don't understand. The ship is awesome. The ship is awesome. All right, no more gushing on the Razor. Let's go to MISC and see. Oh wait, I just realized they didn't have the Mirai Guardian. No Mirai Guardian, folks. I guess they're saving that to 4.0. Oh, I'm surprised. Let's see if they got the MISC Fortune in here. Oh, okay, so we got some stuff here. Oh, they're just talking about the Starlancer Max, the Starlancer Tac, Freelancer Miz. I looked this up earlier. This was a $10 CCU. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It's $10. You have to pay, I think, $10 to get $10. But at the same time, you can always get the war bonds and then melt them later when you get a better one. But man, this is not a good, I guess, yeah. It's not a great one. Not a great one at all. Not a good one either. It's like subpar. It is a war bond, but it might as well be $5. I don't know. It's not a great one at all. You save $10 though, I guess, but you got to spend $10 to save $10. So yeah, if it fills in a chain for you, then great. Otherwise, it's probably a skip. Oh, they're starting with my MISC Endeavor. Well, thank you. So MISC Endeavor, which is weird because like, I think MISC is supposed to be one of my favorite manufacturers, but I do not like their mail slot in the front. And so that limits me. But if you look closely, this one might avoid the mail slot because if you look at the top here, it looks like it might have some glass at the top. And if it does have that, that's all I asked for. You can have your mail slot down here. If you add like it doesn't have to be 6, but like 3 or 4 ports up here where I can see upward and maybe one on the bottom, I don't care that you put mail slots on these. That's all I ask. But continuing on, the Endeavor is the do all the modules types of things type of ship. So one of the things that I didn't really consider about the Hull series, and I'll get to why I'm talking about that in a minute, is the fact that the whole series is supposed to be modular, as in you're supposed to be able to put turrets on that thing, you're supposed to be able to put tanks on that thing, all types of other things you're supposed to be able to put on the whole series. But the Endeavor is the master of the modules. It has all these slots. Each one of these little bubble things here comes off and you can put different stuff on. I mean, I reviewed the ship. It does so many things and it's only $350. Now, the key to the Endeavor is that the Endeavor is one of those ships where if you don't buy the extra modules, you'll have to buy those in game and those won't have the same insurance as your ship does. So the $350 covers your ship, but it doesn't cover your modules and it doesn't come with any base modules. So you do have to buy the modules separate. So you can go in and you can buy each one of the modules. I think the most expensive one is like $175. But the cheapest one I think is like $45. And you know, it's got medical modules, it's got these which are kind of like your farm modules, and then it's got research, science. Well, the medical modules are basically a full hospital. I think this is going to be the capital class medical ship unless they come up with another one. But yeah, it's got a lot of things that it can do. Go check out the review. There's way too much to say here, but this is one of my favorite ships because it can do so much. So yeah, and last note about it is if you get the master set, that automatically comes with lifetime insurance, and it comes with at least one of each module, and then all that stuff has LTI including your ship. So if you are interested, and I might end up getting one master set, even though I own 3 Endeavors, I might end up getting one master set just so I can have at least one of the modules be one of each of the modules have LTI, and then the rest I wouldn't really care about. But at least that way, I'm not constantly paying for that. So it's gonna be weird trying to get insurance on modules, but we'll see how it turns out. Also, I think the Endeavor is gonna probably go up in price, but we'll see, because maybe the reason they're keeping the base so low is because maybe the price of the modules is gonna go up. So we'll see. The MISC Expanse. Now, this is for people who really, really think that they're going to be interested in refinery gameplay, or for people who really do not want to spend a metric ton of money on an Arastra or a Galaxy, because both of those are twice the size of this, or an Orion, because those are the other ships that can refine. And to be completely honest with you, yeah, if you get one of these, you're probably saving a lot of money on those other ships. The Expanse is one of those ships where it's not really beloved. Like, you're not gonna find a community of Expanse lovers so much as you just find people who like it or people who need it. And that's okay, because at $150, it's exactly the price it should be. We just don't know enough about it. And so I gave it a score. If you go watch my review, If you're new here, I forgot to say, I probably should say this now. I've reviewed every ship in Star Citizen, so any of these ships, if you're wondering what it's like or what to do with it, go and check a review. Guaranteed, you're gonna find at least a very deep dive into each one of these vehicles and ships. So there you have it. But yeah, the Expanse, I think, is one of those. It's right where it needs to be. I don't know if it's going to get reworked. I actually don't know why it's taking so long. It seems like refinery should be a little bit more simple. We should at least have a tier 0, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if this ship. Oh, actually, we have confirmation that they are working on MISC and Drake. So MISC and Drake are going to be the ships for the 2025 year. So it's very likely that the Expanse is coming. I don't think the Endeavor is coming, but I do think the Endeavor, they will maybe give us some new information on the Endeavor and be like, okay, this is what had to change. We're just going to plan some things out for it, right? Because the Endeavor is going to be the largest MISC ship that they ever create. So there you have it. All right, the Freelancer. Now, I did a review on all 3 of these, the Freelancer, Freelancer Dur, Freelancer Max. Well, actually all 4, my bad. So one of my biggest things that I like about these are that they have 4 beds. And if you know me, then you know I like it when ships have 4 beds. These are some of the smallest ships with the most beds. And this is where you really get into min-maxing when you're talking about the Freelancer series. Because my favorite, of course, is the Max, because the Max you can put an Ursa rover on. It's the smallest ship that you can put an Ursa rover on. And yeah, I think the Miz has pretty good guns, but it's overpriced. The Max is correctly priced. The Dur is a unique ship because of the amount of cargo it can carry, plus the dedicated exploration role at this size with the amount of beds it has. But the Freelancer is kind of a skip. So I would say the Freelancer and the Miz are kind of a skip. If you're going to go with either one of these, I would say it's the Max and the Dur. The Dur if you're super into exploration, but I think you could probably find a better exploration ship. So the Max is really, if you're into the Freelancer, that's the one to get. But if you go watch my review on that one, you will see that there are definitely other options to the Freelancer Max. The C1, for instance. But C1 can't fit an Ursa, so you have to kind of pick and choose. Do you want to transport vehicles or transport cargo? The Hull A, we'll do all the hulls together, okay? So so you can't get the Hull E. Well, maybe you can. Let's see. Let's see if the Hull E is available. Nope, it's sold out. The Hull series is a bit interesting, right? So the Hull A is if you know for a fact, all I want to do is be a space trucker, you either start out this game with a Hull A or a Freelancer Max. Those are the 2 ships you should start with. Now, there are some other ships, that are cheaper, but I would be focusing on starting with those because they're going to make you the most money for their price category, as far as just purely I'm taking things from point A to point B. But the Hull A is my pick, unless you got $140, because then the Hull B is going to be better. But those are the only 2 that I would take, because those can land on planets, and you'll see that the C, the D, and the E cannot land on planets. So that's going to be big for them. Also, the Hull C, D, and E were really great values about 3 or 4 years ago, but they've all went up in price, and now they are more so correctly priced. I do think that the Hull E at $750 is probably still a little underpriced, because it can carry like 96,000 SCU, which is an insane amount. And so this might go up to $850 or something by the time it's all said and done, just because, yeah, that's a lot. And then the Hull D, which I think is actually still slightly underpriced. This could easily be $650 or $600. And they have it at $550, which I think, so it's slightly underpriced. This to me is the one to get. I don't think I would want, how big the Hull E is, I just don't think I would want those problems. But the Hull D it carries more than the Hull C, significantly more than the Hull C. I think it's like 5 times the amount of the Hull C. even though it doesn't carry the 96,000, it carries pretty much as anybody's ever going to have to really move. Now, when you get to the hull E, the amount that it carries in cargo, it's going to be so much that it's going to be difficult to even fill it up. Whereas the hull D is going to be difficult to fill it up, but it's not going to be anywhere near the hull E size. And also, you don't really, in order to afford the trip with the hull D, you don't really have to fill it all the way up. You could fill it halfway up and it would still be great, because that's still multiple trips in a hull C. And then the hull C, I think this one's going to be, they actually literally said it's going to be one of the most common ships in the verse, because this is the primary shipping ship. It's like 4,000 plus SCU of cargo. I think it's like 4,600. And yeah, it's the ship that you use when you want to ship as much as you can, but you can't afford the other two. Because I think hull D is the one to get out of all the hulls. Unless you need to land on a planet, then it's the hull B. Unless you don't have 140 to spend, then it's the hull A. So I think the only one I really would stay away from is the hull E, unless you have an org, or unless your primary goal in the game is to transport and do heavy freight. If that's the case, then this ship might be for you. They are going to sell another one at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know if this video will come out by then, but then they'll sell another one at 3 a.m. So if you're trying to get a hull E, that's when you got to log in to grab them. Unless you want to come down here and get the MISC complete pack for $5,100. So, or $5,600 if you have credit. So this thing I don't think is worth it. If it had the Endeavor with all of the, like the maxed out everything pack for the Endeavor, like where it comes with all of the modules, it might be a little bit more worth it. But the big things that you're getting out of here are the Endeavor, which I don't know if it comes with the modules, but it doesn't look like it, because when you go to also includes, it just says lifetime insurance, which is great. But it comes with the hull E. So if you don't want to play the F5 Wars, this is your way of getting one without playing the F5 Wars, but you need $5,000 to do it. Now, the Odyssey is a great pick out of here. The Starfarer Gemini is a pretty good one, but it needs a rework. And then both of the Starlancers. But I'm not really seeing the value unless it comes with that maxed out Endeavor package. But even still, really the hull D, hull E, Endeavor, Odyssey, yeah, I just don't see the value right there. I don't see the value. It should have been a little bit more discounted if you ask me. But it does come with a lot of ships. So, and you get to skip the F5 War on the hull E. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. The Odyssey, I just kind of mentioned it. Because they're working on MISC, I could see this going up in price. So if you were on the fence about getting one, then I can see a reason for people to get one. So I have a Polaris and I have an Odyssey, because I do think that the metrics, they said that the Odyssey and the Polaris were going to have similar metrics as far as what you can put in them. And the Odyssey is my exploration Polaris, and then the Polaris is my Polaris. So it's like if I know I'm doing something related to combat, or where I'm very likely to run into combat, I'm taking out the Polaris. If I know I'm very not likely to run into combat, and I know I'm doing non-combat things, I'm taking the Odyssey. And those are gonna be kind of my base of operations ships, my forward base of operations, so my FOB. And those, I think, are gonna be great in those roles where it's like, yeah, we're gonna stay in this ship, you know, in orbit, and then we're gonna send a smaller ship down, or maybe one of the ships that came with us we'll send down to the planet. And if we need to, we'll go down to the planet, but only if necessary. But for the most part, these are gonna stay in orbit. These are gonna park at stations, and then I'll take smaller ships out to do whatever else. But the Odyssey is the longest traveling ship in the game, because it doesn't really have to come back down for fuel. The Carrick, the one thing that this has over the Carrick is that this can refuel itself, whereas the Carrick cannot. And that is the major thing that it has over it. It also does have a better hangar, but the Carrick does have a hangar. It just doesn't have as good of a hangar. Also, another thing, the Carrick has, it comes with a ship and a vehicle. and it has a repair bay. This does not have that. So there's trade-offs, right? But it all depends on what you want to do in the game. And of course, the cargo can carry a metric ton of cargo. So this one, I do like the layout of this one better than the cargo, or than the Carrick. But yeah, that's about it. It's really between this and the Carrick for people who are doing exploration. I own the Odyssey. I think the Odyssey is the one that you get if you have another exploration ship smaller than the Carrick. But if you only want the one-stop shop, then you get the Carrick. But my fleet is a little bit more expansive, so I was able to get the Odyssey. So it depends on what you need it for, though, because I do think this is going to be more of a planet survey and better at doing that, whereas the Carrick will be better at the jump point navigation stuff. The Prospector, old faithful. If you want to make a little bit of money, you hop in a Prospector, you go out mining, good to go. You can get SR power. You can partner this with an SRV, and then they can move all the stuff in front of you, and then you don't even have to move. You can just sit there mining all day, and fun times, right? Mining is fun. Mining is peaceful. Mining is something you could just lounge around and do, and the Prospector does it at the cheapest price that you can for mining, outside of vehicles, of course, because then you can get the Grey Cat Rock, the Rock DS if you are feeling froggy, and then of course you can do FPS mining with your handheld. So Prospector is the cheapest ship you can do it in, and I think it's perfectly priced. I think it actually went up in price. If I'm not mistaken, it used to be 150 or 145, but either way, it's still greatly priced. I do think if you are super into mining, there are going to be other ships that can mine in the future. So just don't fret if you are worried about what's going to happen with this ship, if you don't like the look of it or something like that, because it's not the prettiest ship, but it does get the job done. So I do think there'll be other mining ships in the future. I mean, Argo has one. They have the Mole. But yeah, I think if you're really into mining, you get the Prospector and you just hold it down and wait. The Reliant Core, the Reliant Mako, the Reliant Sin, and the Reliant Tana. Okay, the Tana is, for its price, it's actually, well, first let me say this. All the Reliants, they need a lot of work and a lot of love. So they're not going to be very marketable ships. Now, the Reliant Tana is a surprisingly nice fighter. When I reviewed it, I was actually surprised at how decent it could fight. However, it has a massive cross-section. On top of the fact that it has a massive cross-section, it is not the toughest ship. So another thing that I'll say about this is the look of these ships is incredible. This is one of the most unique ships because you can turn it from sideways like this to straight like this. And it's really cool. It's a really unique ship. I just wish they would have done more with it. The core is completely skippable. It has no redeeming qualities. The Reliant Mako is unique because it's a reporter ship. So it's like meant to actually record what other people are doing. So I can see a lot of content creators using this ship in game, or people who want to just do something different. It's the only ship in the game that has like a broadcaster thing in it. So it's very unique in that way. So I can't say it's overpriced or underpriced because it's the only ship that can do what it does. And then the Sin, which is the only science ship in the game. It's the same thing. Can't say it's overpriced or underpriced. It's the only ship that does what it does in the game. However, both of those gameplays, reporting and science, are not in the game yet. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. If I was going to pick one up, it would probably be the Tana with an upgrade to either the Sin or the Mako, and I would completely skip the core. But that is up to you. What type of gameplay do you want? I am a science person, so the Sin would be the best one for me. However, I won't get this ship until they announce a rework or gold pass or something. Even though I am super into science, I just can't justify this ship yet until they tell me more about what's going to change in it. But I do want one. This is one of the few ships that I want and I refuse to purchase because I just don't know enough about it. But it's not that expensive at 85, so maybe I'll just pick up a CCU and sit on it. We'll see. We'll see in the future, all right? Because I would like this to be one of my daily drivers. I need 3 daily drivers. I already have, or no, I need 4 daily drivers. I need 1 for combat, which I already have. That's my F7A or FAC, either one. And then I need 1 for non-combat, which is my Vulcan. And then I need 1 for non-industry and non-combat, so science. And yeah, and then I need 1 for exploration, which I already have. So yeah, it's just, I want it to fit, but I refuse to buy it until they give me some more information. But like I said, I might pick up a CCU. The Starfarer and Starfarer Gemini. Now, the Starfarer Gemini is a complete upgrade from the Starfarer, which is very rare in this game. Normally, you're trading something off to get the upgrade. Normally, the Starfarer Gemini, oh, it wouldn't have that, or it wouldn't have this, or it wouldn't have that. All they did was they took off the fuel scoop. They took off the fuel scoop of this one, and then they added a bunch of armor, better weapons, and I think better missiles, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a complete upgrade from the base Starfarer. The only thing is, you obviously would have to go and buy the scoop and add it back to the Starfarer Gemini. So that's the only difference. The Starfarer Gemini is the one to buy here, folks. You can get both. You can get the Starfarer, but I just wouldn't see a purpose in getting it because the Starfarer Gemini is completely better. Unless you only had $300 to spend, but in that case, I would just say save up until you can afford the Gemini, or wait until you get some better CCU chains so you can get it. So yeah, the Starfarer Gemini is the one to get here. It is the fueler. I do think this will be one of the most underrated ships when the game arrives, the final game arrives. I do think refueling is going to be a big deal. My only issue, I wish they would have added just one other function in it. But at the same time, it needs a massive rework. Out of all the ships in the game, this is top 5 as far as needing a rework. I'm hoping that they get to that soon because I think more people would buy this ship if they knew what the final internals look like, because right now they look like a 1990s FPS level. Very bad. The Starlancer Max and Starlancer TAC, I just recently reviewed these. I think the Starlancer Max is great. I just think that it is missing a few things that I would like it to have, and one of those big things is the fact that it doesn't have a tractor beam. So if it had a tractor beam, that would solve one of my major issues with it. I also don't like the dash in the front, and I don't like the view from the pilot seat. Yeah, it's not a bad ship. It's a good ship. I just think that it's missing some of the things. It's a dedicated deep space hauler. So I think for me, it needs a tractor beam, but if you don't care about tractor beams, you're gonna like it. Also, the interior is A1. I absolutely love the interior of both of these. Now, the TAC, we haven't really got much experience with yet, so waiting on that. But the TAC, to me, if you're gonna only pick one of these two, you get the TAC, because the TAC adds 2 medical beds. It adds right here. If you pay attention to right here, you can see a little square where it opens up for a Fury hangar, and it still keeps a crap ton of cargo in it. So, and it adds some more weapons on it. It's a really good all-around ship. Surprisingly, you can fit an Ursa rover on the back, which it's one of the few ships that wouldn't need an Ursa medevac, because it already has 2 medical beds, which opens up more capability. Like you can now I'm considering, oh, what else would I take on this ship? Maybe I get 2 smaller vehicles. Maybe I get a Cyclone MT and a Dragonfly or something. And it starts to open up the possibilities. It's a really good all-around ship, and those are my favorite types of ships. The Starlancer TAC surprised me. When they were announcing it, I was at CitizenCon. I was sitting there, and when they were talking about the Max, I was like, but when they start talking about the TAC, I was like, yeah, that is how you build a ship, CIG. That is how you build a new ship. Now, I still don't like the front. I still don't like the passenger view. I don't know why they did that, but because the ship is so awesome, I'm not overlooking it. I still took a point off for it, but I did reviews on these, including the Starlancer build, which is more so a temporary. I'll have to update that when the build comes in, but yeah, go check those reviews out. You'll see what I like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't see a whole lot of things here that are new. I'm surprised that we didn't get a new ship, but I think maybe they're saving some stuff for later. I do think we'll get some other ships though. I do think we'll get some other ships, but I am surprised. No MISC Fortune and no Mirai Guardian. I watched that video earlier and it said it looks like they're saving those for 4.0. So maybe they're saving some of that stuff. But I feel like at least one of those should have been at IAE. But yeah, not as many new ships as I expected. But yeah, real quick, I'll go right back through it just so you know I'll just do a quick yes or no. Yes, no, 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 yes, no, yes, 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 no, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no, or no, yes. And then no, yes, no, yes. Yep, there we go. So if you just scrolled to the back and it was like, should I buy, should I not? There you go. Yeah, and this is or I guess this is kind of a no too, depending on what you need. But yeah, that's it. That's it for day 3, folks. It's in the bag. I'll see you tomorrow for what's tomorrow? The Gattac, Apoa, Banu, and Asperia. So it's Alien Day tomorrow. And then RSI. So for you folks who are trying to get that Polaris, your day is almost here. Not tomorrow, but the next day. So look up all the videos you can about the F5 wars and try to learn and see what you can get. But my day is not coming until this day. If you know, you know. This is my day. And this day. I think this day is going to actually be surprising. I think Anvil Day is going to actually be pretty surprising. So, yeah. I think it'll be pretty surprising. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for spending your time with us. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.